and welcome back to Monday Morning Jumpstart. Last week, we took the first step forward towards making success this year by reflecting actually on what happened last year to prepare ourselves for this year ahead. This week, we're going to work on taking that next step towards setting and achieving our goals. So Ted, we're ready. Are we ready to dive in and set some goals today?
Well, not just yet, right? We're not going to be talking about setting goals yet. And it's interesting because you use that word success in your opening. Part of the thing that happens with people setting goals is they really don't have a vision. In other words, they can't really define success. They just go, hey, I'm going to go be successful in 22. Real case scenario, true story. I was on the phone yesterday with a copywriter. And when I asked about, hey, what are you up to in 22? The first thing out of her mouth was, I want to make 200 grand. Good, cool. But why? Where did you get that number from? And then all of a sudden, came into play, right? Like they didn't know. And so we're not yet at setting goals. I've asked you last time to reflect, and I hope you put some heart and some gut level truth into that reflection and came up with some categories. Now the question is, when you start looking at those categories, if you worked on them, would they get you to an organized and thought out vision for your life? And notice that when I say life, I'm not separating this idea of work, your career, your writing life, and your life. I don't see them as mutually exclusive. And so what I wanted today is hit you with a way to start formulating a vision for your life. And then next week we can talk about setting goals that will then feed into a vision. Otherwise, again, the mistake, I learned this stuff through coaching people, the mistake people make is they're simply writing down goals. And then when a guy like me comes along and go, well, why are you coming up with that goal? They don't really have an answer other than it sounds good. Like it'll help me, but they don't understand. And so vision for me is a very big word for many people. Like if you ask many people if they have a vision for their life, oftentimes they will give you an answer like that's more like a goal. Like I want to retire by the time I'm 60, or I want to go X. Those are not visions for your life. And so what I want you to think, vision encompasses from my lens, 4 different things, right? The vision for your life. And when I want you to start thinking about the vision for your life, the first thing I want you to be thinking about is time. How are you going to spend your time in a fulfilling and meaningful way? How do you want to spend your time? Most people don't they just say, hey, I'm going to go jump into this career. I want to make X amount of money, but they haven't really thought about how they want to spend their time. Writers, if you want to spend your time writing about X and yet you fall into this victim of going after a different type of work, you're not going to feel fulfilled in this. So again, have you really thought about how you want to spend your time? Another part, your personal life. There's many people that say they want ample time with their family, and yet they set up a career or they set up a writer's life that has anything to do with spending time at home. They're grinding it away, writing, 12 hours a day. Well, did they really have a thought out vision? And then are they actually chasing that? The next category is money, right? Money is a big thing. Getting crystal clear on the amount of money that you want to make and why. So it can't just be $200,000. It needs to be, this is the type of life I want to live. And this is the type of money that will support that. And then also, what do I dream of? I go to my wife every year and I ask her the same question at the end of the year. What do you dream of in 22? And don't be practical, right? Like, because we have done this whole visioning work, Angel and I. We say we need to make X amount of money to do X, Y, and Z with the boys and how to fund our house and all the rest of that. But then I ask her that question, what do you dream of? And don't be practical. So when you write down what you want to make for money, it needs to line up with how you want to live your life, how you want to spend your time. The next thing is relationships. Do you want to be in meaningful relationships? If you do know, connection is one of the 4 basic human needs. And that's why I have relationships down as a bucket in creating your vision. What kind of relationships do you want at home? What kind of relationships do you want at work? For some people, they don't think about that getting into the writer's life. If you're somebody that values connection and yet you set up your writer's life to simply be writing on a beach in solitude, we have a problem. Right? And then the last one, Rebecca, is the deeper end of the pool, which, I asked you to be gut level honest in your reflection, and I'm going to ask you to be gut level honest here, is legacy. How do you want to be remembered? What kind of impact do you want to have on the people that you love most? What kind of imprint do you want to leave in your little spot in this world? And that should play into your vision. I will tell you unequivocally that because of the pandemic and all the things that we've been through, many, many people were forced to think about this last bucket in meaningful ways in the last 2 years. And so I do not want to forego it. And I think that you shouldn't forego it because I think it's an important thing. But most people don't think about that when setting goals. They don't think about how does this play into how I want to be remembered. And so before we get to setting goals, what I'd like you to do with this idea of, I really do want you to put the ample time into, and again, same language as last time. I want you to put your heart and I want gut level honesty when creating your vision. Because if you're just writing goals down for 22, but you have no secure vision or real organized and thought and meaningful vision to yourself, you're just setting goals. As some people in AWI land have heard me say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there. Well, in many instances, people are writing down goals and they don't really know where their goals are leading them.
All right, so we're writing down time. So how do you actually want to spend your time when you think about your vision? Money, how much do you want to make, and also why?
Why?
The relationships, what are your relationship requirements or visions for ideal? Is it to be connected? Is it not to be connected? And then finally, legacy, like you said, how do you want to be remembered? And that is, I'm going to take this sticky note and stick it up in my office, because you're right. It's so easy to keep our head down and grind and do and do and do. Is that what you want to be remembered for? The fact that you were head down and doing and doing and doing. Ted, you and I talked a lot about this with working from home during the lockdown and having our kids at home. I took a week off in August and just disconnected from everything. And the biggest joy in my life was for my kids to be able to say, "Hey, Mom," and me to be able to say, "Yes," instead of, "Hold on 1 second. One more, I'm just wrapping something up here." That crossover in life was hard. And it was a good reminder of, do I want to be remembered as a mom who was just constantly head down? One more second. Or do I want to be a mom that was like, "Yes,
exactly.
Tell me about your day." How did it go?
And that comes from taking it back to our last week's Jumpstart. That comes back to reflection, Rebecca. Like going back and looking back at the last year, because if you take that as an example, there's two cases in the past year. There's businesses that have really struggled during the pandemic, and there's businesses that have thrived. And both have ramifications. And I'm going to use the one that most people don't think have real ramifications. Businesses that have thrived, they have lost other parts of their life that should be embedded into their vision. And now people that I'm coaching that have thrived in 21 during a pandemic, from a business standpoint, they're going, well, how do I get back to what was fulfilling and what was normal? And by the way, I was making plenty of money back there. Now I 5x'd it during the pandemic.
And look what I gave up.
You see, so you really do have to consider all of this and reflect back and go, well, am I on the trajectory towards this vision that I want? Otherwise, we're just grabbing things as we go, trying to leverage success or gain success in a way that doesn't even line up to how we're going to leave this earth fulfilled and remember the way we want to be remembered.
I love what we're covering right now, because it really is a life lesson and something that we will continue to do again and again. So taking the time to do it this year only sets us up better for next year, because it's not and we're done. We've learned it and that's it. We're going to learn it. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to grow. We're going to change. The world's going to evolve. And then we're going to reset again, reflecting and writing down this new vision for the future as it stands today, because it's evolving and moving as we change and move as well. And I love, if the closing thought, just to add your extra credit, guys. So writing down your vision of time, how do you want to spend your time, money, how much and why, relationships, what do you want those relationships to look like, and legacy, how do you want to be remembered? Extra credit, what are you dreaming about? I love this. I'm going to take this with my family to dinner tonight. What are you dreaming about? And don't hold back. This is not a time to be practical, but really dream. I love that. And I think that's a great way of ending today's episode, if that's cool with you, Ted.
Hey, I'll say that. I'll just put an exclamation point on what you said. It is about dreaming. We all have to have dreams. And then when you come up with the dream, does it line up with your vision?
Yeah.
Right. And I'll just say this because, and I'll put it out there, right? Like my wife's dream was to get a beach home. And guess what? It lined up perfectly with my vision of being connected to my wife and my two kids. You see what I mean? Like we can't just go grinding through life. We have to dream. And then that propels me to want to grind away and make that dream come true for her, which and then serves me as her husband and the father of our kids. It all is a big ball of wax, but I get all like amped up when you say that because it's hard not to minimize the dreaming part.
It's hard not to. And again, when we're in our cerebral brain and we're goal setting and we're thinking about the future of our lives, blah, blah, and then we get out of that and we get into our hearts and we dream. If they're not aligned, we're moving towards something that isn't really what we want to make us feel satisfied. Okay.
Exactly.
Might drop that. That's a perfect one. All right, guys. So you have your homework assignment. We'll see you here next week. And next Monday, we will get into actual goal setting.
We will actually do that.
Towards this vision. Bye, everyone.
Right.